Ram Krishna Hari. A few years back, we visited the Mallikarjun temple at Sri Salem. After a beautiful darshan, someone told us, why don't you visit the Kadalivana, for which you'll have to cross the Patal Ganga river through a ferry. We were only too glad to do it. We booked a ferry and crossed over to the other side of the Patal Ganga. We reached a rocky terrain. We trekked up a little bit and came to a pristine spot. There seemed to be a nice cave there, and this cave seemed to be very attractive to us too. We looked around for some guidance and found a young guide sitting over there who was only too happy to tell us more details about this cave. He told us that this cave was a place where a very great female saint, poetess in the 12th century, who was a great worshipper of Lord Shiva, sat in meditation. He said we can go to the exact spot where she used to sit and we can see the shivling that she worshipped, but for that we'll have to pass through a tunnel, and that tunnel is about 40 feet, he said, in length and 30 feet in width. He said you'll not be able to walk upright through the tunnel because it's very low. You'll have to either crawl or go on your haunches, that is, you'll have to crouch and move around. He also advised us to carry some lighted candles and a few torches so that we could make our way through the darkness. So enthusiastic were we that we did not spend even or hesitate even a second, and we started our journey through the tunnel. The boy also told us that throughout the travel through the tunnel, which was to take about 7 minutes, he said you will have to keep chanting Om Namah Shivaya. So we all started chanting Om Namah Shivaya as loud as we could, moved inside the tunnel with our lighted candles and torches, and came to the end of the cave. We were so pleasantly surprised to see a small naturally formed shivling with a very small diya, a lighted lamp near it. The cherry on the cake was there was a natural stream, and that was dripping water on the shivling. It was as if nature was itself doing its abhishek on the shivling. We all paid our obeisance, sat there for meditation for about 5 to 10 minutes, and after that we travelled our way back, again the same process, chanting Om Namah Shivaya with lighted candles and torches. When we came out of the tunnel out into the sunshine, we sat around and asked the young guide to tell us something more about this female saint. Akka Mahadevi was born in Udutadi in the present-day Shimoga district. Her parents Nirmal Shetty and Sumati Ma were devout Shiva worshippers, and so from an early age, Akka Mahadevi also started her worship towards Lord Shiva. So devoted was she that she considered Shiva to be her husband. Akka Mahadevi grew up to be a beautiful young woman. The chieftain or the king of the Jain community, Kaushika, was so enraptured with her beauty that he wanted to get married to her. He sent a proposal through his men to her parents that they should give their daughter's hand in marriage to him. The parents and Akka Mahadevi refused the proposal, saying that Akka Mahadevi was already mentally married to Lord Shiva, her Parameshwar, and so a nominal marriage to any other mortal would be a waste. But the king was not one to give up. Repeated proposals and alliances from him bore no result. Finally, Sam Dam Danda Bhed, the king decided that he had to now show his power and threatened that he would destroy the family and the clan. So Akka Mahadevi decided that she would get married to the king, but she put forth 3 conditions to him. The king was only too happy to hear an affirmation from her. Mahadevi put 3 conditions to the king. The first, she said, as she was mentally married to Parameshwar, Lord Shiva, the marriage with the king Kaushika would be just nominal, a namesake marriage. So he should not expect any physical proximity from her. The second condition was that she would be absorbed in her devotion to Shiva for hours together. She would be so devoted that the king should not disturb her practice at all. And the third condition was, she said, in the place where you are, in your kingdom, there are lots of scholars and learned men. They will come to your court, they will have discussions on scriptures. I would like to be a part of those discussions. So you should not stop me just because I am a woman. The king gladly accepted her conditions and got married to her. Mahadevi went to stay at the king's palace, and as per her conditions, she did not allow the king to come close to her, and she would be absorbed in her devotional practices towards her Lord Shiva throughout the day and night. After some time, that is after a few days, the king realized that she was neglecting her duties as a queen as well as his wife. So one day he confronted her, to which she reminded him that he had only agreed to give her the assurance about the 3 conditions she put forth. But the king was so furious that he said he had given her the assurance temporarily, he did not mean to stick to his words. He angrily told her that he wanted her to behave like his wife and would not tolerate any indifference to him. Akka Mahadevi then reminded the king that he had accepted her conditions, and if he was not going to adhere to those conditions, she would leave the palace and all the luxury. The king said that this dispute cannot be solved between the two of us, because you are a queen and I am a king. We have some duties towards our people, the subjects and the ministers. So he said, we solve this dispute in court. So the court assembled with a lot of learned scholars, ministers, and some people from common section of society. Akka Mahadevi humbly requested that she wanted to leave the palace because the king was not ready to adhere to the conditions which he had already promised that he would. The king was so furious with her that in front of the entire court, he ordered her out of the palace. In fact, he told her to get out. As she turned back and started walking outside, he then again furiously remarked, "Where are you going? Wait a minute. The jewelry which you have on your body, the clothes which you have on your body are all mine. If you are planning to give up everything, then you have to give up these too." Without batting an eyelid, Akka Mahadevi removed all the jewelry that she had, and to everyone's surprise, she even removed her own clothes and stripped herself completely naked. But her devotion to Lord Shiva was so intense that she covered her body with her long lustrous hair so that not an inch of her body was visible to anyone outside. Mahadevi was only too glad to get rid of all her material possessions and to be totally free. In fact, she felt that this is how nature had created us, and we went on adding things to our body layer after layer because we got entangled in the material world. So she wandered around like a mendicant and ascetic in the true sense. Possibly she was also influenced by the Digambar Jain community. She had heard about Guru Allama Prabhu, who was a prominent figure in the Lingayat community. She wanted to take initiation under him. She wanted him to be her guru, and as she approached him, there were few questions which Allama Prabhu asked her. Akka Mahadevi wanted initiation from Guru Allama Prabhu because he was a very ardent devotee of Lord Shiva. As she approached him for initiation, he asked her a few questions to which she gave satisfactory answers. She too had a lot of questions, and for which he also gave satisfactory answers. Finally, he posed a question which made her think twice. The question was she comfortable walking with the other men of the sect, walking with them nude? Would it be comfortable for her? At that time, Akka Mahadevi gave an answer that for me, in this entire creation, the only masculine element is Lord Shiva. The other elements who you consider men are actually women, and women are the feminine element, of course. So for her, it was only Lord Shiva who was the male in the entire creation. Pleased with her answer, he accepted her as his disciple. But doesn't this incident remind you of Sant Mirabai, who had been asked a similar question by Goswami of Vrindavan, to which she said, "The only male in the entire creation is Krishna, the remaining are all women." So, it is the great minds which think alike, and here was a spiritual bent of mind. From this started the Bhakti movement in the 12th century, headed by a female saint. She would call Shiva Chenna Mallikarjuna, means my Lord who is like the white jasmine flower. She would talk to him out of love because she would consider Madhur Bhav, that is where a devotee considers the Lord to be his or her consort. She would write or compose devotional poems, most of them which were in the Madhur Bhav, where she talked about her relation with Shiva. Some of them were deeply spiritual and some philosophical. These devotional compositions were called vachanas. They are in Kannada, and we are lucky to know that many of these devotional vachanas have been translated from Kannada to various languages. Her vachanas had always been direct, frank, to an extent where she talks about men who are mortal husbands, and she says you have to only burn them like the fire in your kitchens. Such was her lyric in one of her composition. She composed her vachanas under the pen name Ankita. Most of her vachanas posed questions to the society and the social doctrines which were prevalent then. She asked what is the role of women in a society which is largely male dominated. She said, why was it that society was always having an oppressor as a male and oppressed as the female? These were very direct and bold lyrics, which of course was in the 12th century, but today we find them relevant in our day-to-day life. Somewhere down the line, her vachanas seem to touch our heart. Akka Mahadevi was of the firm belief that till an individual is awakened and he is aware of his role in society, a society cannot awaken itself. So, she considered it her prime responsibility to bring forth a society which was completely equalized in their rights and duties of each individual, be they of any caste, creed, gender, or orientation. Now, the mission of Akka Mahadevi was to be guiding people on the spiritual path, and she did so by wandering from place to place, making people wake up from their spiritual slumber too. It is believed that she finally settled at Sri Salem in the same cave that we talked about in the beginning of this video. She sat there in meditation on the worship of her Lord Shiva for a long time, and in 1160 she merged with her husband, the Parameshwar. So the journey of Mahadevi to Akka Mahadevi, Akka was a title given by her guru Allama Prabhu. Akka means an elder sister. So this journey, this young girl from Mahadevi to Akka Mahadevi, is a lesson in itself for us. In future, when our children, their children, or further generations ever ask, what was the role of Indian women in the spiritual field, or what role did women play in Indian civilization in the Bhakti movement, we can proudly say, yes, there was this one woman saint, a poetess, who gave up all her luxuries, her material possessions, including her clothes. Spiritual nudity was the tagline for her, which did not mean nudity in the physical sense, but it meant shedding off not only your material possessions, but even your ego and identity. Our salutations to this great woman saint of the 12th century, Akka Mahadevi. And furthermore, we will be coming up with the next spiritual guide or woman saint in the days to come. Thank you so much. Ram Krishna Hari.